Welcome everybody to our first virtual gallery opening. And today we are opening the St. J Art on the Street spring exhibit entitled Evoking Spring. I am Molly Stone and I am the artistic director at Catamount Arts. And I am joined here today by several of the artists that are featured in our walkable gallery, which is downtown on Railroad Street and Eastern Ave, and is absolutely free to enjoy and is activating empty storefronts as well as a few occupied storefronts. It is truly a community effort. And today we brought together some of our artists to talk about the work that's on display, and their work in general. So before we start, I would love to introduce some of the staff members that make this happen. And so first I'm going to introduce Ann Campbell, who is our Director of Education. And Ann, during the pandemic, and so much of this is pandemic inspired, which is, I guess, the silver lining here. So during the pandemic, education opportunities and getting groups together was more and more difficult to do. So Ann and Catamount at large turned to working with the community and getting the community engaged. And so Ann, I'm gonna kick it over to you to talk about how that community engagement on your part led you into St. J Art on the Street.
Okay, thanks, Molly. It all started with a group that came out of the St. Johnsbury Chamber of Commerce called the Window Warriors, which is a volunteer group that set as its mission to beautify the empty storefronts downtown, both in order to bring a smile to people's faces, make it more cheerful downtown, and to hopefully entice some new businesses to move into those empty spaces. And along with that, Craig Harrison, who is one of our artists here today, and his wife, Anna Rubin, started an effort to, and got some grant money to purchase banners in conjunction with the Northeast Kingdom Artisans Guild, where artists' work was pictured on the banners, and those banners were hung in empty storefronts in the building that we now know as the New Avenue Apartments, which is currently being renovated. So all of these beautification projects were tied together. And then last fall, Heather Alger of the design committee and the Window Warriors, and Annie Lorenzini, who's a local artist, started to talk about, I think also with Anna and Craig, how we might bring artwork into the empty storefronts in addition to these window displays that were being created. And that is basically how St. J Art on the Street was born. Craig was the designer of the logo, which is a beautiful logo we have for the project. And it started and continues to be artists' work that is placed in empty storefronts. And we are changing those exhibits out 4 times a year. And what we love about this project is that it's very organic. It's we ask artists to recommend other artists to go into the windows. It's open to all. It's out in the street, so it was perfect for a pandemic. People could walk by and look in the windows and not have to walk through the doors of a gallery. It's also, I think, maybe a little less intimidating for some people who are not accustomed to walking into a gallery and looking at work. So it's a wonderful project. And because we were doing so many projects in the community during the pandemic, including the Kingdom COVID Chronicles and the Community Quilt, Discovery Quilt, and the Kingdom COVID Cookbook, we decided to promote one of our staff members to a position that we're calling Community Liaison, and that person is Andrea Otto. So I'd like to introduce Andrea, who is also our coordinator now of St. J Art on the Street.
Thank you, Anne. Hi, everyone. So I stepped into this project as it was already in the works for spring, and Molly and Anne and myself were learning as we went along, and it was quite the project to learn on the fly, but it was also just such a joy and an honor to be able to get to know the artists through emails back and forth and figuring out how it was all going to work. And what's so interesting about this project is because it's in storefronts, sometimes things happen. So in the course of us planning this spring show, we actually had a storefront get rented, and all of a sudden we had to shift things. And so the unconventional nature of this project is it just really, you have to learn on the fly, you have to constantly adjust. And so it was a good lesson in being flexible and thinking creatively and outside the box. So for this spring show, we have 12 artists total, and there are 4 storefronts on Railroad Street and 2 on Eastern Avenue that are that we have artists featured in for the spring show. There are quite a few working parts to this project. As Anne mentioned, there's the window warriors who kind of the breakdown of how the project works is we have the previous show artists come in, remove their work from the storefronts. That same day, the window warriors come in, and those are coordinated with the Chamber of Commerce. Jillian Sawake puts out a call, and the volunteers come and they clean out the spaces and get them ready for the next show. They scrub the windows, vacuum, sweep, do whatever they need to do to make the storefronts ready. And then that very next weekend, in come the new artists. And it's the artist space, so they come in, they set it up as they see fit. We have a local artist, as Anne mentioned, Annie Lorenzini, who comes in and offers her advice and support, and it's quite the spectacle, as the artists that are here know, of lots of running around with various pieces of equipment and wire and hammer, nails, easels, trying to get everybody situated and looking their best and feeling comfortable in these kind of strange, unconventional spaces. And then it's done and it looks beautiful, and it's just kind of magical. Like, how did it happen? Carol LeBaron, who's here with us, she's an artist who will be talking about her work. She has volunteered her time working with me in adjusting lighting in one of the storefronts. And one of the things that I've noticed when we've been in there working is just the community impact, and just seeing the reaction of people as they walk down the street, as they're looking at the work. We've had people like tap on the window and wave and give us thumbs up and say thank you to us as we're in there working. And so you can see just by being there the impact that it has on just bringing some joy and a sense of pride to our local community and the people who live and spend so much time downtown and around those spaces. We also have Heather Alger and Patricia Anderson, who Heather Alger has been a major driving force in the Art on the Street project. Patricia Anderson is a window warrior, and they have worked with Jillian Sawake from the Chamber of Commerce to forge these relationships with the property owners of the storefronts, and getting them to be willing to share their spaces with us. That's a huge amount of trust that they're giving us with allowing us to just take over their space and fill it with artwork. And so that's been a really special thing that they have very intentionally done in reaching out to local business owners and forging that relationship with them. So yeah, a lot of working parts and a lot of community members all coming together to make this a reality. So thank you again for being here, for being a part of this project. And on that note, I will turn it back over to Molly and we'll start hearing from you, the artists, sharing your work and your process. And yeah, we can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
So welcome again. And what I heard from Andrea, to sum it up, is that this takes a whole lot of heart. It's a labor of love. And when I hear about you running with hammers and scissors, it's also very dangerous. So I'm going to now ask Arista Alanis to begin talking about her work and process, and I will be busy getting your images.
All right, thank you. I live in Johnson, and my paintings derive from the landscape. Places and experiences take on significant meanings. So Vermont and all its seasons, the coast of Maine, I have a particular spot that I go and do plein air paintings from, and travels with my sister and her family. The artwork is not about specific places, but about significant moments that ignite a feeling of being alive in the space. That one there is a 36 by 36 inch painting, and they take quite a bit of time. I have a habit, I love to start painting, so I'll work on many paintings at one time. And yeah, I've had to actually ban myself from starting paintings. This is a 6 inch by 6 inch painting, and it's Joy to 52. So basically the routine is I'll come into my studio, I'll have my water, I'll change my shoes, I'll put on the music, and I may have a color or a structure that I start with, but basically the painting's gonna lead me, and then I just go. Sometimes along the way, I may have, I'll kind of remember where the memory is. There may be a memory. This is kind of May in Vermont, when the daffodils, the fields turn yellow. Other times I don't have an idea where the place is. I'm just going with it.
Whoops, sorry.
Yep. Nope, and that's about it. I was just gonna say thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Arista, and thank you for describing those images. And Arista, I didn't mention where you are at, and I don't have it marked down, but Andrea, can you remind folks where Arista's work is?
Sure, so you can find Arista's work at, it's the Rural Edge Gallery. So it's at 418 Railroad Street, and it's next to Central Cafe.
Excellent. So next up, we have Keith and Florence Chamberlain, and I'm going to start with Florence. So Florence, welcome.
Welcome. Well, thanks for having us. It's kind of, Keith and I have been married for probably 42 years, and it's the first time we've done a show together. We've worked in photography together for all of that time, but this is the first time we were invited to exhibit together, and I really appreciate that. We've worked together for 20 some odd years in our business, and yeah, it's really fun to have the opportunity to show. I don't own a camera. I own an iPhone. Our business, Fleck, owns a camera, and we do a lot of commercial work with that camera. And I've done a lot of commercial work over the years. But the photos that we chose for some of the photos in the exhibit are iPhone photos. The photo that's up right now is taken at Lake Champlain, and it was just about being there one night, and everybody was moving, and everybody was, I guess, grooving. It was really fun. So for me, it's capturing particular moments. I'm not at this point where I'm framing up photos and seeking them out. I kind of let them say, oh, wait, maybe I need to take a picture of this and capture it, and then maybe post it to Instagram. These little pigeon fledglings were the bane of our existence at Fleck for a whole season because they nested in our air conditioner, and they were horribly loud and horribly smelly. And then they finally hatched. And so this was one morning in the rain, they hatched, and I took this photo for my business partner, Amy, that's not here, and said, the babies are here, now what do we do? So that's where this one came. So basically they're just moments in time that are captured, and we go along with it. I'm pretty jazzed to be part of the downtown art project. It was really fun to just be out there in a visible way. The bee in the storefront was a bee that we created for the Lantern Walk in Lindenville that got canceled. And we created that with two 12-year-olds, Lyric Golden, whose father is Larry Golden, who's an artist in town. Grandfather rather. And our friend Lola Ide, who's also our dear friend. And they helped us do it, and it was really fun. And Lola helped us hang the show. So we had a really good time with it.
It was maybe the most spring-like thing we had there.
Was the bee. Yeah, and some of the larger works, I mean, my larger work were lily pads in there. That's a framed photograph. And that was also, that actually was taken with a real camera, I believe, a long time ago.
We used to use those, yeah.
So I'll turn it over to Keith.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Keith.
Yeah, so we've been at this a long time. And I started with view cameras and sheet film and contact prints and very, very old school stuff. And then inevitably work more than anything dragged us into the digital realm. And now when we travel, we just, it's shocking. We went to Italy twice and all we took was iPhones. And it's like, really? But I really love the immediacy of it. I like that there's the least amount of equipment between you and what you see. And so that I really, I love that about it. And so on the other hand, the photographs always feel to me almost like a sketch pad. It's like they're somehow now fully committed, because when you spend years taking a long time to take a single image, to be able to just do this so spontaneously feels like you're cheating a little, but it's really a great way to just exercise the eye. You know, I like visual puns, you know, the title iCloud just came as a natural here.
Okay.
You know, I'm always looking for those sort of accidental things that only happen once, but they're also very ordinary in their own way. And I think they're, you know, photographers kind of fall into two broad camps. One's we're trying to capture things that are in themselves beautiful, and then ones who are trying to find beautiful things and things that are really ordinary. And I'm really drawn to photographs around the house, like really ordinary stuff, because I think it can be really beautiful and thought-provoking, and a way of just, photography is just about standing in the right place, really. This is just a very photographer sort of photograph, which is just kind of a trick of focus here. But I love this is San Francisco International Airport. They put, for whatever reason, this dotted screen on all the windows. So when you look out, you have this in the foreground, and you get close enough. And again, it's a testimony to these silly iPhones that, you know, you could create an image like this so easily that it knows to focus, you know, on one thing and not the other. And then that just the shock of the pink behind that. Also because we're graphic artists, and, you know, the relationship to halftone screens and the sort of concept of this sort of very soft pink form with this really tightly defined black grid was just really interesting to me. Yes, but I love working with the iPhone, and we love being on Main Street. You know,
yeah, I mean, one night we were on Main Street, and we were walking down Railroad Street rather, and we watched this father and daughter just walk by, and they stopped at the gallery at Kaplan's, and they were looking at it, and they just come from Dunkin' Donuts, and they had their things, and we were going into the table, and I stopped them. I was like, so how did you like the photos? And they're like, oh, we loved it. And I was like, so what was your favorite? And then I said, we're the photographers.
We actually took them
for part of that. And also Craig, your photos, they were looking at yours, and it was just like, and they were great. They were just like, they just stopped. And like, I think Andrea, you said people are afraid to walk into galleries sometimes. My guess is they wouldn't be the average gallery goer. And I also was driving by one day and I saw somebody put their camera up to take a picture of the QR code. So it was really, it made us quite happy.
Yeah, more people see our work there than any place we've ever been. And that Kaplan's window, frankly, it's wonderful.
So thank you.
It was really easy to hang stuff in there. Yeah.
That's great. And so you've said a couple times where your work can be found, and it is at the Kaplan's storefront. If anyone doesn't know exactly where that is, it's 457 rather, Railroad Street. And also at that same gallery is Craig Harrison. And so welcome, Craig.
Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity. Just to echo what everyone's been saying, the difference that this project has made in look of downtown and Railroad Street specifically has been incredible. I get emails and calls constantly from people saying, "Oh, I saw your piece. I saw this," and it really is a testament to all the work that Heather and the Window Warriors and everybody in this project have done to really transform what could have been a really unfortunate downtown to something that people are really coming to and enjoying, and getting a lot of exposure to artists that probably wouldn't be exposed to those same people. Now I'm going to share my screen here. So I can find it here, share. And that's me. Is that sharing yet? Okay, I am sharing. Okay. This is when I got called for this project, the assignment was spring stuff, and I've spent 30 years at least doing. I studied photojournalism in school, and I've done a lot of work in the Himalayas and in various parts of the world, taking pictures of beautiful places, and so it was fairly easy to go back through and pull out stuff that had the spring-like feeling that we've all been craving. And this is one from the pasture next door, with a farmer who puts a farmers or milk drinkers are better lovers sticker on his tractor, and as a big print that works really well because it's got a lot of nice detail and very springy. This is part of what I did. Was I went through, I've got this project that I've been working on for 10 years. Our son Moses was born in Ethiopia, and I'm basically chronicling his life from when he came here to when he grows up. So I'm doing a book called Following Moses, and I'm just finishing the first 10 years, and this is when he was 5 years old, he got into a superhero phase. So he would go around with his cape, and so we had this really great opportunity to get very graphic, iconic images with a nice twist of, he was picking strawberries, and so these things capture this moment in time and sort of the beauty of growing up here, and so we've got a few of those, and tractor parades and all that stuff. So that's me, and that's all I've got.
Thank you, Craig. And as I said before, your work is also at the Kaplan's storefront. And Carol, you're last up but not least, and your work can be found in the group exhibition, which is at 462 Railroad Street, which is basically across the street from Kaplan's. And so, Carol, it is your turn to tell us about your work. Welcome.
Thank you. And I greatly appreciate this opportunity. And I'm very excited for St. Johnsbury to have these wonderful displays downtown. It really brightens up those empty storefronts. Just a little bit about me is I am retired from teaching, and I taught second grade for 11 years and art and music for 13 right down the river at Newberry Elementary. And while I was teaching art, I had a guest artist come in who was a felter. So that was about 25 years ago, and I was hooked when I saw the process and participated in the process. So I thought the best thing I could do is explain the process, because so many people don't understand what it is. A little history is felt is the very first fabric on our planet, and it was first discovered from sheep tramping down on their shedding the wool that they had shed, and it turned into felt. So a little bit about the fibers. The fibers, got the sun there. The fibers, if you look at them under a microscope, they actually have little scales on them. So there's two processes. There's a wet process and a needle process. And what the wet process, you lifts the scales up and you agitate it with soap and water, and they interconnect and turn into the felt. The needle process, each needle, one little needle, just a little guy like this, has all these burrs on it. And the process of pushing through does the same thing, and it connects the fleece together. I tried the whole process from a sheep. I sheared it and cleaned it and dyed it and the whole thing. And I decided that now I did it once and been there, done that. And now I just buy it dyed. How do I put, where do I go now? Oh, why I chose the tree. That's what I'm going to focus on. My 4-season tree is when I sit in front of a canvas. I do all kinds of artwork, all kinds of mediums, and I get stuck. I always default to a tree. So I thought this time I'm just going to start with a tree. So I wanted to represent the 4 seasons, and I wanted it to be gigantic. And I sent you 2 photos. One I sent the process, and early on in the process. Now that's my rooster. That's early on in the process, and that's the final. Oh, now we got email. So to start the whole process is I just pull off little pieces at a time, just little pieces, and lay them all down. And it's a very fragile stage right now. And then I spray the whole thing with soap and water and slowly agitate it. And then as it strengthens, you can agitate faster. And I love the feeling when you feel the wool firm up into felt underneath. It's very exciting to have that happen right underneath your hands. So to represent the 4 seasons, I guess it's pretty obvious. You can see it just circles around winter, spring, summer, fall. And I incorporated silk and bamboo and cotton and Icelandic sheep. The horns are the buttons. There's Swarovski, however you say that, crystals in the snow and beads. So I just kept going. I had a very hard time stopping this one because I just kept wanting to add and add and add to the tree. So that's the felt process. That's my tree. And I guess that's it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing that. And now it's time to open it up to questions and comments and discussion. And I'm going to set a timer for us, and we'll have 10 minutes to ask each other about what it is that we do and what we have in the windows for St. J Art on the Street. So I'm going to start by just saying that the process, learning about your process has been my favorite part, and I'm thinking that it'll be the highlight of folks watching this to know how you got to that final product. So I guess that's just a comment, but back to you, and yep, go ahead.
I want to start felting. I mean, let's be honest.
When I was teaching at the elementary school, and I would have all the materials out on the tables before the students would enter, and they'd come in that door and they'd start jumping up and down. They just love the process. It's very forgiving.
Yeah, I knit a pocketbook, and then we felted them.
Oh yeah.
I was a teacher, and it was really, really fun. And then I had a friend of mine also that did the needle poking one, which I don't quite fully understand that process. I mean, I get
if you saw the needle, you could see all the little burrs on it, sort of like sort of like a fish hook type thing,
For
but,
sure.
and that, how it just pulls it
And fiber arts are amazing, and the tree is just
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
thank
it's-
you,
it's-
thank
yeah,
you.
Really enjoyed it.
Carol, how long did it take you to make the tree? Do you have an
Oh,
idea of how many hours?
Probably hours, I couldn't say it, probably 6 months.
Mhm.
Wow.
I couldn't even guess the hours. I started recording the hours and then it was crazy because it's very meditative work.
Uh-huh.
So when I get to the needling stage, I could just sit there for hours and do it.
Yeah, I guess we're the antithesis of that.
Yes.
iPhone photos, not a lot of time.
Well, well, and I just want to backtrack. I'm also glad not to be dragging around a 5x7 view camera
Yeah,
on a surveyor's tripod.
yeah, we did it all
Right,
for a
yes.
while. But still, it wasn't 6 months. But there's something to be said for that. To me, is a really interesting comment. The photos we made with that, we had this crazy old 5x7-inch view camera from 1920. It was a real pain in the butt, but they're the best photographs we ever took because, by the time you set it up and did it, you were really careful about it.
Right,
But these
right.
cameras, it's just like, you just go.
You just do it.
Right.
It's weird to be a
Very
photographer
nice.
in a time when there are just so many images in this world. You're just drowning in imagery, so you just feel like you're shouting into the wind if you're doing photography, which is why when I see paintings and what you're doing with felt, it's like, that's very appealing.
Thank you.
Craig, how does Moses feel about your photographs?
So far, so good. Well, I think he has a secret ambition to be either an actor or a model. So I set up the studio and got a whole bunch of new lights and stuff, and I was using him for to help me block out the lighting, and actually you can see this shot over here was from his 14th birthday. He just gotten a new hat and sunglasses, and he sent the picture off to the sunglass company, and they're sending him another pair of sunglasses for free. So,
Oh,
Nice.
I have to try that.
I guess he's officially an influencer now.
You
So-
should take a picture of him with a car.
Good idea.
And maybe a new septic tank, and
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been really wonderful being able to document his progress from when he got here 10 years ago, and to see how he's blossomed, and so
You're putting together a book on
Yeah.
this.
yes,
That's great.
yes, and I have it. It's called Following Moses. I had the title before I had the idea, and so the biggest challenge is really just going through all the images, curating it, and getting it into something that's cohesive and not just overwhelming. But there's I mean, we can start with his very first Halloween. He actually, the picture was used in the Vermont Life desk calendar. He's dressed up as a tiger, and just it was the first house he went to. He didn't have any idea what trick-or-treating was. And he's like, "Oh, a Charleston chew. I like that. Where's the next house?"
Good holiday.
Sweet.
That's nice. Good story.
And Arista, I have a question for you. I understand you are at the Johnson Studio Center and have been there quite a while. And I wondered if you might just tell people a little bit about what you do there.
Yeah, I work at the Vermont Studio Center, and it's an artist residency program. And the Vermont Studio Center also supports the majority of the art program here in town. So I'm the art teacher at Johnson Elementary School. And part of what's unique is residents usually come in and help out, or they'll be here on a teaching fellowship. And right now during hybrid teaching, and we've had artists come in virtually, so it's been able to keep going with everything that's happening. Yeah. Yep. I was a resident in May of May of 1994. It's probably why May is my favorite season, which it feels like the trees are about to turn a little bit earlier. It's
Yeah,
that
they are.
green, that really light green before it all turns.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. And yeah, I had to come back. And so I came back a little over a year later, in the working in the kitchen actually. And did that for quite a while until this program evolved and became what it is today. So it's really wonderful. I feel very lucky because I'm in the country, kind of in the country, you know, it's a small town, but I get to meet people from all over the world. So a lot of inspiration. Thank you.
Arisa, you had mentioned that you love to start new paintings. Do you find that, so when you're working on them, do you have them all kind of just out all at once, and then do you kind of just like jump in when you're feeling it to one painting and then just like start on the next one, or like how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy in here. Sometimes it's too much for people. Yeah, I have a lot out. I have moved some away into another room, or sometimes I'll turn it away. Yeah, I do like to start. I actually have to ban myself from starting. That's like my favorite is to start. Some paintings they have to sit because I don't know my next move. So I know I'm just not ready. I don't know what the next move is going to be, which is why they take so long. Sometimes I'll be painting and I'll have a particular color, especially if I'm doing larger strokes. And then I'll be like, oh, I love this blue. Where else can I put it? So I'm just trying to search to find a painting but I have to really watch it to make sure it's for that piece. And then, so yeah, so then I'll be working on that painting. So they just kind of vary. I do have to tell myself they have to come to a conclusion. And so I'll put others away and focus in on maybe 3 pieces. The little ones are great because I could do those in like a week and I'll just hold them in my hand. They're like instant gratification. But I've kind of had to stop. I won't allow myself to work on any little paintings right now because I want to work on these larger ones, which will take a long time. But I've really enjoyed staying in that moment, especially during this past year, during the pandemic. And I just go with it. I used to wipe down if I didn't like a leaf shape or something. And now I just go with what happens. So it's always, I like that surprise. I like the painting to lead me.
Do you always know when you're done? You know,
Yes and no. Sometimes when I don't, then I let it rest. I'll put it aside. I'll really look at it. I have to give it some time. And then after a while, it's like, you're done. Sometimes I know immediately, and sometimes I'm not sure. So it sits and sits, or and sometimes I'll be like, I really don't know my next move.
Mhm.
I'm like, it's done. It doesn't need to, I don't need to kill it.
Mhm.
Because that could be a tendency of mine there's many paintings underneath. I'm known to wipe down, so they're dry, it's dry. I'll wait till I go back in because I'll paint it, and I've learned to just really, within the next 30 minutes, I'll know if it's not going to work and I'll wipe it all down. Where 20 years ago, it was just piled on and piled on and piled on. Yeah, it's hard to end, but they have to. The little ones were easy. Those I knew. The bigger ones take a little more, take longer. Bigger challenge.
And I'm wondering, Arista made me think of, are any of you doing anything different creatively this year during the pandemic, or has the pandemic changed your art in any way during this year or changed your process?
Even more photos around the house, which I really enjoy. To me, it's like you should be able to find a photo anywhere. So that's continuing to focus on stupid stuff in the house.
I'm doing doodles every day. So I have a daily coping doodle, and I actually put them out on Instagram and Facebook every morning. And I have friends and clients around the country that ping me every morning saying, "Where is today's doodle?" And now I was doing them all in colored pencil before, and now I'm just doing them on the iPad using Adobe Fresco, and it gives me, what's nice about that is you've got layers and you can undo and you can use different tools and different brushes, and it gets you away from having to worry about whether you did it right, because you can always just put in another layer and start something else. So now I have this huge library of just drawings, and that some of them have turned into things. Some of them turned into a project for St. J Pediatrics for their waiting room. We have a giant ostrich with a sign saying, wear a mask, and other like zoo animals that one of the doctors called me in to do these things in there. So it's turned into more different illustrative work that I'm doing, and it's been more of a creative outlet and help with coping, which is anything.
Any last words on that really important question about how your creative arts have either evolved, morphed, or just helped you cope through the pandemic? Any last things to say about that?
I feel thankful that I'm a creator.
Mm-hmm.
To have this outlet, to have this really forced to stay in the present moment. And then, as we know, as you create that energy, and that positive energy comes out.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you're always creating, then you can't sort of wallow in that despair.
Yeah.
Right. I work with so many different mediums that it's really been able, being stuck home, I've been able to focus on moving from each one. Like I have downstairs, I've collected stones from all around the world, and I'm making a mosaic. Here in my studio, I took all my old neckties, and made pillows. I have stuff in all different rooms that whatever mood I'm in, I have that to go to. So it's been nice in that respect, that I have something to do all the time.
So to end this portion, I want to amplify what Arista just said about thankful for being creative. I want to say that we are thankful that you are creative as well. And I think that the arts, the creative arts, performing arts, all of those things have been integral to people's coping. Non-creatives as well have been coping by indulging in the arts in their home. And I think for you all, being able to do that has helped you, but it's also helped all of us. And the evidence of that is right now downtown St. Johnsbury. And we're coming out of the pandemic slowly, but those works of art that are in those windows have been extremely helpful. Just even if you don't look directly at the artwork in the windows, you're just driving through, there is an aura and a feeling that you have brought to our downtown. So I want to thank you personally for being creative. And with that, I'm going to kick it back to Andrea, and she will wrap this up for us. But on behalf of Catamount Arts and myself, thank you so much for doing this. And Andrea.
Yeah, thanks, Molly. So I in closing, I just wanted to, again, just acknowledge all of the collaborations and just thank all of these different organizations and people who make this project happen. And I won't name every single person by name, but I did just want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, the Northeast Kingdom Artisans Guild, the Town of St. Johnsbury, 142 Eastern, Garrett Property Management, Ain Baker, Rural Edge, and Northern Express Care, I want to thank the Window Warriors who are committed to the revitalization of downtown, and to thank Craig Harrison, who designed the St. J Art on the Street logo, as well as creating the Thank You Kaplan's banner, which is displayed at Kaplan storefront. And I also wanted to thank Maple Grove for, they actually donated several easels to us this season to use for the spring show. And that was just such a amazing help for us to be able to provide more easels and more resources for artists to use. So I just wanted to thank them for that. And thank you for participating in this. And yeah, is there anything else, Molly?
I just want to add thank you to the Vermont Community Foundation for the Spark grant that we
Yes.
got, is helping to give us some funding for this spring and summer shows.
Yeah, and thank you to all the artists that couldn't be here with us today. We love their work as well. And yeah, so just thanks to everyone. And all I can say now is cheers, pop that bottle of champagne, and let's party and celebrate all the good works that you are doing in St. Johnsbury. And let's hope for more of it in the future. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much, and good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hey,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
So welcome, Curran, and thank you so much for being one of the spring artists of the St. J Art on the Street spring exhibit, which is called Evoking Spring. And I would love for you just to talk us through your work and who you are.
Sure. Thank you, Molly. My name is Curran Broderick. I'm from the Northeast Kingdom, Burke specifically. And my art practice is photography. I'm a large format photographer that specializes in using large format black and white film and traditional silver gelatin darkroom printing. And my work is primarily about landscape. I consider myself to be a landscape photographer. This is my camera in back of me. It's a wooden 4x5 Wisner camera. It's handmade from a guy in Massachusetts. His name is Ron Wisner. It's very craft focused, and you have all these really, highly technical, specialized perspective shifts, and you can do all these really different special things to help hone in on different components of land. For the spring show, I kind of went in a different direction that I'm very energized about, considering it's spring, and I'm excited about really developing a deeper relationship with land. So I think that was my primary focus. I think a lot of the work that I have in the show right now is about spring. The first image I have is called morels, and morels are mushrooms that grow wildly, and you have to forage to find them. And to me, they represent spring because they're hard to find, they're elusive, they're rare, they're well hidden, they're very coveted, and visually they're just, they're really beautiful. They have that very specific honeycomb shaped pattern, and I don't know. To me, it's kind of like, that's like the it thing, like that represents spring. Maybe fiddleheads or something like that. Another image that I have is of a garlic scape. I don't know if that happens to be the next slide. I have three. At any rate, the garlic scape, I think, is a really interesting, it's this sculptural form. And up until very recently, I didn't know garlic scapes existed. I was like, oh, it's a bulb of garlic. That's all you focus on. That's the way that, we're manipulated into using this particular thing. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about harvesting garlic, and she showed me these garlic scapes, and I was like really inspired by just like how organic and beautiful it was, and that, it's got a slightly different flavor. And I don't know, I think that from a spring perspective, it was really inspirational. So yeah, that's a little bit about the garlic scape. The last picture of the series is a peony flower, which is from a garden at our friend's house. And to me, it just is really about the delicate fragility of the flower and how it's, it blooms and it's alive for a little while, and then it sort of, slowly starts its decay. So I like the idea that there's this ephemerality to it.
Thank you so much for walking us through those. Just because we don't have anyone else in the room with us to ask you questions or make comments, I'm just going to make a comment about the garlic scapes. When I first saw that photo, it didn't even look natural to me. It looked like a sculpture, as you say. And just hearing you talk through it gives it so much more meaning and depth. And the story of the garlic scape, it's the first thing to emerge. It's not the bulb. The bulbs fall. And I love what you said about those garlic scapes. So.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I feel like the garlic scape it's humble and it's like not appreciated, but it's got its own righteous beauty. So I really felt the need to celebrate that.
Well, Kern, thank you so much for giving us some depth and some context to your work. And folks can see your work right now in the Kaplan's building, which is at 457 Railroad Street. And I encourage people to get down there and check those out. So thank you so much, Kern.
Absolutely. Thanks, Molly. It's been a pleasure.
See ya.
Thank you.
Welcome, Fred and Fran, and thank you so much for being part of this spring's downtown exhibit, Evoking Spring, which is the newest installation of St. J. Art on the Street. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Fred and Fran, I have to share my screen with you all, and I'm going to bring up your slideshow, and I would love for you to talk us through your work. So once I get this up here, there we are. Great. So there you go.
Okay. Well, that's Francis and myself. We're out clamming on that particular day for soft shell clams. But for 55 years, or 56 since we've been married, we've been picking driftwood and glass, etc. off the beach. And we were on a honeymoon when we started 56 years ago now. And we continued walking beaches, both ocean beaches and freshwater beaches throughout New England primarily. We accumulated thousands and thousands of pieces over the years and put them in plastic tubs and put them in the garage and the cellar, etc. And finally, when we retired 20 years ago now, and we started putting them together. Actually, Francis made one way back 40 years ago, but anyhow, we would take out these tubs of driftwood and put a big tarp in the living room and put down these thousands of pieces, and we'd sit there all winter looking at these pieces. And actually, as you look at them, you can start seeing very artistic flows and the beauty and the art that's in the wood itself. They all have a history. For instance, that nail that you see there, that spike, it's from something that you can think about. It's from a pier, an old pier that's broken down or washed away through a storm. Primarily, that's where it would have come from. The other pieces of wood are pieces of lobster pot. And as you can see in this one, there's pieces of brick. That became Francis's primary goal. Go ahead.
So I like the brick. And they're all rolled so nicely from the waves or the surface. And they fit in nicely. So that's how I work them.
So we started incorporating some of these pieces of brick and pieces of glass as the years went along. We've made hundreds of these driftwood pictures or art over the years. And for instance, this one's a fish. There's a little bit missing there, but it's got a tail, etc. And you can almost see it when it's sitting on the floor. You can see the round pieces that are on it. And I said right off the bat, hey, that's a fish, and that's a fish eye, as you can see. So you start putting these things together, picking them off the floor. You can almost spot them from 10 feet away, etc. Some of the wood is polished, has unique features to it, unique grains and colors. When you pick them up on the beach, or the beaches, they're absolutely gorgeous, a lot of them, because some of them are wet and it looks like they've been shined with polish. But it became, we started doing primarily art like this. We'd make fish or sailboats. In other words, do real pictures out of the driftwood, because it was all laying there right in front of us. All we had to do is put it together like a puzzle. So it became
One of the ones that we made was our waves, and that one was very, very nice.
Yeah, we made a few that look like waves of an ocean.
Mhm.
That they went, they'll sold pretty fast just because they look like an ocean wave, and it was all driftwood. But we put these pieces of driftwood art up. We sold them at different establishments over the years. We also donated several to several organizations through the years, and we still have a lot left. But most of our driftwood is now gone. We still got a couple of tubs of it, and it shows up everywhere. If we're in a drawer, there'll be pieces of
The
driftwood there.
driftwood.
So, but
Beach
it's beach glass, stones. We've got all the bricks now we have outside in our driveway, so to speak. But it's the waves, the sand, the water, the sun, all make art in itself. And when you pick it up, it's just Francis and I put it together so that it can show itself best. Yep. So we're still at it. We're still going, but we love doing it. Have loved doing it for 56 years now, and getting down there and walking the beaches. And it's the freshwater beaches around here are gorgeous. Franco, we were up at Willoughby last year, and there's driftwood right in the surf line, or right in the wave line. It's absolutely gorgeous. All you have to do is bend down and pick it up. Now, we figure we picked up tens of thousands of pieces over the year, and we should weigh about 120 pounds a piece. But that didn't help. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it was a wonderful pastime, and I love doing the artistic part of it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
good time.
Well, thank you. So I just want to make a quick comment about the work, in that from what you just described, for me, the artwork that's presented is the end game of the process that is so much the artwork.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being a collector of natural things myself, that love and passion, and then having the driftwood, drifting about your home and showing up in random drawers, it's just in your blood and your soul. And thank you so much for piecing the mosaic together.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. And so, Andrea, I would love for you to tell us about where we can see Fred and Fran's work.
Sure. So Fred and Fran, their work is featured at Northern Express Care on the gallery on the Eastern Avenue side of the gallery. Nope, I'm sorry, the Railroad Street side of the gallery. And their work will be there through the end of May.
Okay,
Great.
good.
Well,
Okay.
thank you so much for joining us for this virtual exhibit of all the work that's downtown for St. J Art on the Street. And yeah, I will see you again very soon, hopefully in an upcoming exhibit. And thank you so much.